historic theater.
What's up, everybody? It's Alex again from Castle Rock Paranormal. One more for you guys tonight. Now, this is the Speakeasy again. Most haunted locations in Tennessee. Their list anyway. So we'll see if I agree with that. There's 3 places in mind that of my top 3 places in the state of Tennessee. I'm originally from the state of Tennessee. I've investigated all over the state.
There's plagued.
And yeah, there's quite a bit of haunted locations in Tennessee. So we'll see what their list is and if I agree with it or not, or if I've investigated some of these places. Let's go.
Ghostly patrons of long forgotten plays to classic haunted houses harboring the spirits of soldiers who died in long-lost battles. Unexplainable happenings and cases of extreme paranormal occurrences are almost the norm throughout the volunteer state, which is why the Speakeasy is bringing you our picks for the most haunted places in Tennessee, starting with Number 10, the Orpheum Theater.
My hometown, Memphis, Tennessee, the Orpheum, I definitely would say it's haunted. There's a spirit of a little girl there from what I've heard. Never gotten a chance to investigate it though, but let's see if they mention that.
The Orpheum Theater in Memphis was built in 1890 as the Grand Opera House, with the name change occurring in 1907. A new theater was built in 1928 on the same site, and it's believed that the renovations may have stirred up something long dead. The Orpheum is the perfect place to start off this countdown, with witnesses describing up to 7 different entities, all with varying features and clothing from different eras. The most famous and commonly seen ghost here is that of Mary, a young girl who died in a car accident in front of the theater. She is often seen sitting in the balcony near seat C5 and sports long dark curls and a white dress. She is also often seen in the lobby, dancing before vanishing into thin air. Mary has become infamous for playing small pranks, opening and closing doors, setting alarms off, and leaving a cold trail wherever she goes. On several occasions, after hours, staff have reported strange thumping sounds, disembodied voices, and the pipe organ seemingly playing itself, causing employees to call the police. When the police arrive, K-9 units literally refuse to enter the building, and upon investigation, it's found completely empty. Number 9, the Cocke County Memorial Building. The Cocke County Memorial Building in
Yes, another great location. I've never investigated it, never been in. I don't think I've ever even been to Newport, Tennessee, but I have seen several popular paranormal TV shows and groups that I trust and investigate it, and it was used as a hospital, a makeshift hospital or morgue or something like that at one time after a plane crash, I believe. I'm sure they'll get into that.
Newport was built in 1931 and underwent a great tragedy that many believe left a dark mark on the building as well as the surrounding area. On July 9, 1964, United Airlines Flight 823 crashed, leaving 39 dead. The local morgue wasn't big enough, so many bodies as well as individual parts were stored in the memorial building's gymnasium for over 2 weeks, and it's believed that some of their souls still remain. Throughout the years, many reports have sprouted up detailing unexplainable scratching sounds, objects moving on their own, and an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Numerous investigations have been held here, resulting in extremely high EMF readings, EVPs, and even one crew hearing the sound of a child crying, and what sounded like its mother's voice, calling for her child from a distance. Also reported here are extreme cold spots, the sound of coins rolling across the floor, and even the sensation that someone is resting their hand on visitors' shoulders or tapping them for attention. Stay aware of your surroundings at this haunt, as several have entered closets or small rooms only to have the door slam behind them and simultaneously lock, trapping them inside. Number 8, the Ryman Auditorium. In 1885, Thomas Ryman witnessed a speech by esteemed evangelist Sam Jones at a tent revival. Sam's words moved him so that he joined him, and together in 1892 they opened the Union Gospel Tabernacle. It was renamed Ryman Auditorium in 1904 following Thomas's death, then again as the Grand Ole Opry in 1963 while hosting a radio show of the same name, and back to Ryman Auditorium in the mid to late 70s. Thomas's funeral was held in the building, and it's believed he loved the auditorium so much that his spirit remains. with many reporting seeing his translucent form in various chairs, looking out windows, or just rounding corners. And according to local legend, he's not the only one. Up until 1973, more than 35 people associated with the Opry had untimely or suspicious deaths. This led locals to refer to the occurrence as the Opry Curse. Many have reported apparitions of varying descriptions, including an older man in a gray suit that often floats right over the audience. These spirits are believed to be responsible for some of the other paranormal happenings on the premises, such as disembodied footsteps, chairs moving as if someone invisible is sitting in them, and strange lights coming from the building at night. Number 7. The Reed House Hotel. The Reed House Hotel in Chattanooga opened its doors.
Never heard of this place, so I'll have to do some more research on it, but I haven't been to Chattanooga very often. I've been outside of Chattanooga a little bit, but I'd like to check that place out.
In 1872, after John Reed purchased a lot of land that used to house another hotel, which acted as a hospital during the Civil War. In 1926, it was torn down and rebuilt into the hotel we all know today. Many famous guests have stayed here throughout the years, including Winston Churchill and Al Capone, and many murders, suicides, and natural deaths have occurred on the premises. Room 311 is said to be the most haunted, with guests reporting the ghost of Annalisa Netherly. Annalisa is said to have been found dead in the room, with some saying she was found nearly decapitated in the bathtub, and others claiming she took her own life. In all renditions of this old tale, she is said to have hated men, especially smokers. To this day, male guests who smoke have reported finding their personal possessions hidden, having the sheets pulled off of them in the middle of the night, and even being attacked and left covered in bruises. Many have also reported her ghostly face popping up in mirrors and reflections, startling any nearby. Throughout the rest of the hotel, numerous full-bodied apparitions, all varying in appearance, have been sighted, and staff and guests report catching EVPs, orbs in photos, shadowy apparitions throughout the halls, lights turning on and off, temperature changes, ghostly soldiers, and even the spirit of the big fella himself, Al Capone, who likes to stop in for the occasional drink with unsuspecting guests. Number 6. The Carnton Plantation. The Carnton Plantation in Franklin was built in 1826 by Randall McGavick.
Yes, and that's a very historic Civil War location as well. It's a place in Tennessee that, when I first started investigating, wasn't too far from where I lived, and I've contacted them a few times and no responses on being able to investigate there, but it's definitely a place I would love to get the chance to sometime, if I ever get that lucky.
Slave labor, with 2 acres of the plot dedicated as the McGavick Confederate Cemetery, a burial ground for those killed in the Battle of Franklin in 1864. The plantation also acted as the largest temporary field hospital around, and it was definitely needed as the battle left 9,500 dead, wounded, or missing. When it was all said and done, 4 generals' bodies were laid on the back porch, and nearly 1,500 men were buried in the cemetery, 558 of which are still unidentified. Those brave enough to explore this haunt, especially after dark, report the sound of phantom soldiers marching, disembodied shouts and commands through the night, and war drums. Many have reported shadowy apparitions that slink throughout the area, following any who enter, and on several occasions, ghostly soldiers from both sides have been seen wandering the headstones. One apparition likes to break glass, and on several occasions, residents, staff, and visitors have watched a ghostly form appear on the other side of a window, right before it shatters into a million pieces, leaving nothing on the other side. Also reported here are heavy boot steps throughout the halls, a strange candlelight glow coming from empty rooms at night, and even the full-bodied apparitions of Randall McGavick and his wife, Carrie, who are said to most often be seen relaxing in various chairs or admiring wall hangings. The most terrifying apparition here is said to be that of a general who rides his horse threateningly through the night and has sent many running in fear for their lives. Number 5. Shiloh National Military Park. Shiloh National Military Park in Shiloh was the site of the Battle of Shiloh, which occurred on April 6th and 7th of 1862. The battle resulted in nearly 24,000 killed, wounded, or missing, and it's said that many who perished here left their tortured souls on the battlefield. Those brave enough to walk the trails and pathways that wind through these now picturesque fields, forests, and ponds report a wide range of supernatural happenings, including ghostly cannon fire in the distance, an otherworldly drumbeat, and the pond water even turning dark red, like blood. The apparitions here like to show up in photographs and appear as white, cloud-like figures in the shape of a man.
Yes, definitely. I've never been out to Shiloh, but I've known people, investigators and things like that have been out there in the daytime. I don't think they'll ever allow anyone to be out there at night because of how historic that battlefield is. But yes, even in the daytime, so many paranormal claims come from Shiloh, such a historic and tragic Civil War battlefield and location.
Also reported here are disembodied bootsteps marching around and a mysterious male entity that wanders the peach orchard, especially at night. Inside the old buildings and dorms, many report doors slamming shut, windows opening and closing on their own, strange breezes that whip through halls, and even screams and moans of dying men. As darkness falls, many report seeing the full-bodied apparitions of soldiers all around the surrounding area, in reflections, through windows, and even entire battles that they think to be some form of reenactment, only to watch hundreds of men disappear without a trace. Lastly, a dark mass has been seen floating throughout the trees, seemingly surveying the battlefield. Some accounts of this entity are very disturbing, and multiple witnesses report being chased upon crossing its path. Number 4, the Carter House. The Carter House in Franklin was built in 1830 by Fountain Branch Carter. The property is comprised of several buildings, including a farm office, smokehouse, and kitchen. The home served as headquarters for Union Brigadier General Jacob D. Cocke during the Battle of Franklin in 1864, when the Carter family took refuge and hid in the basement until the battle was over. Their son, Todd Carter, was mortally wounded in battle and died in the home from his wounds. Throughout the years, residents, staff, and visitors to the house have reported a wide range of occurrences, such as orbs in photographs, shadowy apparitions throughout the halls, and objects moving, even so much as floating in midair. Several have reported having personal possessions stolen from them and placed throughout the house, and on more than one occasion, lights have been flicked off, leaving guests alone in dark rooms. The ghostly mischief is thought to be the handiwork of Annie Carter, Todd's younger sister, who is also said to haunt the grounds. The spirit of Todd is commonly seen in his room, where he died, sitting upright on the bed, also reported as the mysterious voice of a friendly woman that has been known to converse in great length with guests and any who will listen. Outside of the house, many have reported ghostly soldiers, the smell of gunpowder, and phantom yells throughout the night. On several occasions, the full form of ghostly soldiers have been caught in the background of photographs, posing as they would for a Civil War-era shot. Number 3, Stones River National Battlefield. Stones River National Battlefield in Murfreesboro is a 570-acre park along the Stones River dedicated to the battle that took place there during the turn of 1862 to 1863.
So yes, lots of Civil War history in the state of Tennessee, especially in central West Tennessee, Franklin, Murfreesboro, Nashville, all the way to like Brownsville, Memphis, Henderson County. Lots of Civil War history for sure. That's why it's one of the most haunted states in America, in my opinion.
The battle lasted 3 days, leaving 24,645 dead, injured, or missing. Stones River National Cemetery is also located here, with more than 6,100 Union soldiers buried on its grounds, and over 2,500 of them unknown. The area known as the Slaughter Pen is said to be the most haunted, and it's said to hold a strange stillness, with many reporting wildlife literally avoiding the whole zone. At night, many who have explored the Slaughter Pen report hearing phantom screams, the sounds of gunshots, and orders being called out into the night. Those who witness these phantom sounds claim they sound exceedingly real, as if the battle is happening just out of sight. The lone apparition of a soldier is said to show up in the reenactor camps, blending in with the actors, even eating lunch with them. When anyone notices he's not one of the normal actors or tries to talk to him, he vanishes into thin air. Also reported across the grounds are strange lights that float through the trees, shadows moving around, and even rocks being thrown at visitors by invisible hands. If you're walking your dog, be careful, as it's common for animals to react to what seems like someone invisible directly in front of them, even becoming so panicked that they drag their owners behind them. Lastly, visitors to the area also commonly report orbs and ghostly images showing up in photographs, namely the ghost of a headless soldier riding his horse. Legend has it his head was shot off, and his soul is stuck here searching for it.
Damn.
Number 2, the Bell Farm and Bell Witch Cave. The Bell Witch Cave in Adams is a 490-foot-long karst cave located on property that once acted as the Bell family farm. Over the years, the story has become legend, inspiring movies, books, and articles all over the world. As it's written to history, John Bell and his family moved to what is now Adams, Tennessee in the early 1800s. Around 1817, family members started reporting seeing strange animals around the premises after dark, and knocking and scratching sounds coming from the walls. John invited his neighbors and other townsfolk to experience this, many staying the night and all reporting the same things. A disembodied voice inside the home eventually told him and the rest of the townsfolk that it was in fact a witch. It then identified itself as Kate Batts, John's neighbor. It said it had 2 missions: to kill John and make sure his daughter Betsy didn't marry a neighbor boy named Joshua Gardner, in which she planned to. Over the years, the family was tormented in various ways, all by seemingly supernatural and unavoidable means, until finally, on December 20th of 1820, John died. It's believed he was poisoned by Kate. A few months later, in March of 1821, his daughter broke off her engagement to Joshua Gardner. The next day, Kate left town, promising to return in 7 years. She did return, and she even conversed with John Bell Jr. and, as local legend tells, revealed to him why his father had to die and why his sister couldn't marry Joshua Gardner. She then departed and promised to return in another 107 years, in 1935, but some believe she never left at all and still sulks through the forests and countryside surrounding the historic homestead. And it's still said she visits her old cave. Now holding tours and other events, visitors and staff to the cave report terrifying occurrences, including strange noises through the dark, animals refusing to enter the cave, and shadowy apparitions on the walls. On multiple occasions, splunkers have shined their lights one direction and seen the full shadow of a woman standing in the light, even though nothing was in front of them at the time. The cave is also said to be cursed and will bring bad fortune to any who takes so much as a stone from the ground. More frighteningly, many have also reported being pushed to the ground by what they describe as a heavy weight, a white foggy apparition floating through the air, and even being hit, slapped, and poked by invisible hands. Number 1, Wheatlands Plantation. Wheatlands Plantation in Sevierville was built as a family farm in 1791 by Timothy Chandler. The property consists of a plantation house, storage shed, and smokehouse. John Chandler, Timothy's son, inherited the property in 1819.
And I'm not very familiar with that location either. That's another place I've never really heard of or been to. Sounds familiar, but yeah, it's pretty neat. I'll look into it as well.
The original home burned to the ground in the 1820s and was rebuilt, and in 1850 it had grown into a 4,600-acre plantation. The home is also built right on the site of the Battle of Boyd Creek, where John Sevier defeated a Cherokee war force in 1780. The homestead stayed in the Chandler family until 1966, and it's estimated that at least 70 people have died inside the house alone, by everything from natural deaths to accidents to cold-blooded murder, and the stains show, literally. In several rooms, bloodstains are still present and refuse to go away. Many have tried washing, recarpeting, or even replacing walls in several of these places, but have all been met with failure as the stains are always back the very next day. An estimated 28 Native Americans, as well as 2 soldiers from the Revolutionary War, were also buried across the property, and around 60 slaves are buried in an on-site cemetery. The ghosts of numerous members of the Chandler family have been sighted all throughout the rooms and halls, and many have reported witnessing full exchanges between ghosts and even getting little glimpses into the past. Also reported here are strange banging noises, disembodied footsteps throughout the halls and on the stairs, the feeling of invisible hands tapping visitors' shoulders, EVPs, and the sounds of drumming and chanting. Also reported commonly is the feeling of a childlike presence on the second floor, with several reporting hearing giggles, the sound of a child whispering, and even having a ball rolled to them from dark rooms. Those brave enough to walk the grounds, especially at night, report the phantom sounds of gunshots and cannon fire, the full-bodied apparitions of soldiers, the smell of meat cooking, and even a strange, fog-like apparition that is known for gliding silently just above and behind any who cross its path. Though these occurrences may sound interesting, things can get scary very quickly, with several reporting being hit, pushed, scratched, and even bitten by an unseen presence, often to the point of leaving marks. Also reported as something a bit more frightening, a large presence that stalks the yard at night and purportedly lets out a low growling sound before charging any who cross its path. With the overwhelming and sinister nature of the activity surrounding this old abode, it's no wonder we chose Wheatlands Plantation as our pick for the most haunted place in Tennessee. There you have it. Those were our...
Well, yeah, none of my top 3 were on there. My top 3 places in Tennessee would probably be Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Brushy Mountain Penitentiary, and also, what's the third one I was thinking of? Hell's Bar Dam. I've investigated Hell's Bar Dam a couple times, and it's definitely active as well. So, yeah, until next time.
Picks for the most